Welcome to the Luna Lab, all things tech through the lens of Gen Z. I'm your host, Luna Leo, and I'm exploring what the hell is going on in this tech-saturated world I've been born into. Why are all of my friendships managed through social media? Why am I addicted to my phone? Why did my parents grow up with tree houses while I grew up with Minecraft? On this podcast, I investigate these questions and more. So turn off your apps, turn on your brains, and join me in the Luna Lab. On August 6th of this year, U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order to ban transactions with ByteDance, the parent company of the popular video sharing social networking service TikTok, which has at least 100 million users in the U.S. On the same day, the White House also announced that the president signed a similar order to ban transactions with WeChat, a Chinese multi-purpose messaging, social media, and mobile payment app developed by China's Tencent, with over 3 million users in the country. In the TikTok order, Trump invoked the National Emergency Act and the International Emergency Economic Powers Act because TikTok allegedly, quote, captures vast swaths of information from its users, unquote, which could allow the Chinese government, quote, to track the location of federal employees and contractors, build dossiers of personal information for blackmail, and conduct corporate espionage, unquote. And this order marks the first time the U.S. government has invoked national emergency powers to ban a colossal consumer app like TikTok. And free speech advocates and companies are worried about the fact that this may be the first time the government uses this type of power, but it might not be the last. So, how did TikTok respond? They issued an official response, quote, "These are the facts. 100 million Americans come to TikTok for entertainment and connection, especially during the pandemic. We've hired nearly 1,000 people to our U.S. team this year alone, and are proud to be hiring another 10,000 employees into great-paying jobs across the U.S. Our $1 billion Creator Fund supports U.S. creators who are building livelihoods from our platform," unquote. Additionally, the user data of TikTok US is stored in the US, with strict rules about how much information employees have access to, and that its biggest investors all come from the US, and that they are committed to protecting the user's privacy and safety. So, if TikTok is benefiting US citizens so much by employing citizens who are currently unemployed, then why would the US government want to kick them out of the country? And if the government has never cared about the privacy of users, why start now? Personally, I think that the government is definitely not starting to worry about citizens' privacy, because if they were, TikTok is not the company that they should begin with, because social media apps like Facebook and Twitter invades users a lot more. Instead, this is simply because of the ongoing technology tensions between the US and China, and this order is merely building on the earlier US actions against Chinese hardware companies such as Huawei and ZTE. Additionally, both countries want to be the leader in the technology industry. Still, there can only be one leader, so if the US successfully kicks China out of the market, it can sustain its reign of power. Thus, if TikTok is no longer usable in the US, then Vine, a social networking video hosting, might come back, or Triller, another video sharing social network that is becoming more popular due to the national statement. One of these apps replacing TikTok will benefit their nation a lot more than having US citizens being addicted to TikTok. Furthermore, TikTok's American users are encountering for the first time something that is long familiar to a significant part of the world outside the US, which is that a thriving online social media space is essentially threatened by strategic and political battles among states and enterprises, and there's little input from the ones that are most affected by the government's decision. For example, President Trump's decision will cause many Americans to become unemployed because banning this app will cause content creators and programmers of the app to all lose their jobs. However, TikTok is currently not getting banned, as a federal judge on September 27th granted TikTok's request for a temporary injunction against a push by the Trump administration to ban it. Also, on September 20th, Trump endorsed a deal in which Walmart would take a stake in TikTok, as well as Oracle, a software company that has claimed that TikTok chose to collaborate with them because of their, quote, faster, more reliable, and more secure, unquote, cloud. Another app that President Trump tried to ban is WeChat, because it poses an alleged national security risk similar to TikTok, because it is heavily censored by the Chinese government. For instance, posts about Chinese politics disappear from the app as soon as you post it, and even an emoji can be intercepted as you send it. So, how big a deal is WeChat people's day-to-day lives outside of China? Well, the app is not really important to Americans because nobody really uses the app. However, it plays a huge role in China's digital ecosystem and connects China to the rest of the world. For Chinese users, it is basically a super app that serves as a phone book, messaging service, photo album, payment system, and newsfeed. Additionally, since China's internet is fenced off, WeChat is the only way families can stay in touch with members across the world. This is true for my friends and me because we all use this app to video chat with our grandparents or aunts and uncles, because it is a convenient and expensive way to still be a part of each other's lives. Consequently, since WeChat is so important for Chinese Americans, a group of WeChat users who are calling themselves the WeChat Alliance is suing the Trump administration over the president's order. This group is affiliated with neither WeChat nor its owner Tencent, but it is trying to block the order from happening because, according to the Wall Street Journal, they think that the order violates users' due process and free speech rights. The lawsuit also argued that the ban targets Chinese Americans because the app is the, quote, primary app Chinese speakers in the U.S. use to participate in social life, and has become essential to the conduct of daily life for its users, many of whom regularly spend hours each day on the app, unquote. This lawsuit has now won, and Beller said that while there's a considerable amount of evidence that some Chinese technologies do pose a potential national security threat to the U.S., quote, the specific evidence about WeChat is modest, unquote. So, what are some examples of countries that have already experienced social media app bans? China has banned foreign apps like Google, Facebook, and YouTube for over a decade now. And after banning them, they made their own versions of these apps. For instance, they have created Baidu to replace Google, and the Chinese version of Facebook is WeChat, which may also get banned one day. And they've created multiple platforms that copy YouTube, like Youku, iQIYI, and Tencent Video. Additionally, Russia has put in place state localization laws that require foreign firms to store certain types of data in the country. Also, countries like Egypt, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Turkey occasionally shut down platforms like Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube during periods of political unrest. And India has put a ban on TikTok and other Chinese internet services earlier this year. They have put up restrictions on these apps because they do not want to lose in the digital platform war that is going on between countries. And the only way to not be behind others is to ensure that other countries do not obtain too much data on your citizens. So, I guess worrying about a foreign government's influence or access to data in your country is something that practically every country in the world, except the US, has had to worry about, because almost every globally famous service was started in the United States. But for the first time, the US feels that there is a threat to their global dominance, because TikTok, a Chinese service, has become world-renowned, and now they're worried about how much data China has stored. So this suggests that it's okay for a company to store information about the citizens of their country, but it stops being accepted as soon as it is another country. And the government seems to be interested enough in it to fight for it, but it doesn't seem like the 100 million users really care, which creates some very interesting questions about the nature of democracy. So, is the American policy actually different from the communist dictatorship of China, whom it derides? You've reached the end of another episode of the Luna Lab. For more information, please check out lunalabpodcast.com and follow me on Instagram at lunalab.podcast.